Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Wiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of the Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less to build your business. Today, our guest is Tim Ewing, and Tim's a master coach who has helped build an 8-figure business. He helps industry gurus fine-tune their marketing skills and helps them with joint ventures so that they create strategic alliances. He also works with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs to fine-tune their strategies with their programs and their launches. And if you need help developing a winning strategy, Tim's your guy. Welcome, Tim. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, thanks for all the kind words, Cindy. Always nice to see you. Thank you very much for the warm intro.
Yes, and thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk with you today about strategy. But to begin with, can you share a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Wow. Well, actually, that's a great question. And unfortunately, I do have a good answer for that one. My biggest challenge was actually very easy to remember. It was about, I'm in my early 50s now, so I was around early 40s, so a little over a decade ago. I had a very lengthy, great career in the music industry and on the business side. I wasn't a musician or anything, and I spent my whole life doing marketing and selling for music. And in a very short period of time, everything went digital. The kids were stealing music, and I lost my entire career out of the blue. We never saw it come, and it became one of those things I could say, wow, Cindy, that's a great pink shirt you're wearing. You say you want a copy. The shirt industry's gone. So about 90% of us in the music industry lost our jobs, and I've always floated to my own boat, and I really didn't know what to do in career. It's the only thing I had done from age 17 to age 42, nothing else. And I had to reinvent myself. In the meantime, I was going through a divorce. My favorite car got totaled, wasn't my fault, and my favorite dog passed away at the same. So I lost everything all at once, and I had to reinvent myself. And long story short, I stumbled into the coaching, speaking, seminar business completely by accident. But it took me a couple of years to get there because I didn't want to compromise myself, and I wanted to stay with my own integrity. In other words, just be completely who I am, which in music, I could do that because it kind of fit me like a glove, and it was my tribe, if you will,
Right.
that I worked with. So I had to really reinvent myself, and I was one of those rare people that lost everything all in a very short period of time, and not really to my own fault. So yeah, that was a very tough time from a business side of things.
Wow. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And I know that I never would have guessed that so many people was impacted by the music industry, but there's so many, just like the movie industry, there's so many people behind the scenes that you never see that's out there busting their butts, making it work. And that's where you were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the movie industry and the book industry was a little bit behind the music industry. They're going through the same process because now, movies are streamed, DVD sales are, way down, CD sales are, hard book sales. Most people get a digital book nowadays. So you don't need to flip it. You don't need to print it. You don't need to, all that stuff. So it takes a lot of cogs in the wheels out of that. So it was it came so fast when people started stealing music,
And you are an inspiration. I used to be a divorce coach too, so I totally understand. Was divorced myself. Totally understand everything, with the divorce. But then having your car totaled and with your dog, I'm sure that took you down a path like, God, what in the heck's happened to my life? Where am I? Who am I? Where do I go next? And you have rebuilt yourself, and just because of that, you're truly an inspiration to so many people. There's tons of people out there who are sitting in a job that they hate, trying to say, how can I break out of it? And you can show them, hey, I did it. I was in a worse place than you were, and I did it, so you can do it too.
Well, yeah, and that's very true. And I think the difference I just didn't want to, I saw so many of my friends kind of settling for work where they're either in a cubicle or they're working in a warehouse or whatever. And I just was never mainstream, if you will. I could never get up every morning and be in the insurance office at 9 o'clock in my shirt and tie. I just wasn't me. I've always been in my t-shirt and my shorts at work. So it's all I know. So.
And also with that, I read somewhere that about 85% of the people hate their jobs. And that's like a huge, huge percentage of how many people, like, they go to their jobs because they think it's the only way they can make money. I know when I retired from social services, there's a girl that started probably about a year after I did. And I know that she's still there because she's not 62 yet. And she just told me, well, I just serve my time till I'm 62. And I'm like, that's so sad. And she was like, wow, how exciting. You started your business and you get to take this early retirement from social services, which is what I did. I didn't quit my job. I actually took an early retirement. But she's still there doing something she hates every day, waiting until she's 62 to retire. And it's just really sad that so many people do that.
Sure. And I'm assuming that's a 40-hour work week job, right? That she hates so much?
40 plus, yes. Yeah.
Not only that, you have the commute. You have when you get home, get your lunch ready for the next day. So those people are probably spending 50 hours. So they're really, Monday through Friday, they're probably spending 80+% of their time doing something and preparing for something that they don't like. And I can't even imagine. I've been blessed to, I guess, not go down that road. I just can't. Yeah, I feel bad.
And there's lots and lots and lots of people like that. And it's, so many people, they're stuck there because of the fear. And, I've known tons of people, they don't want to take the risk to start their own business, but you just said, hey, I know what I like. I know what I want. So I'm going to find a way to do it. And whenever you have that type of attitude, something falls into your lap, like coaching and speaking did for you.
And it literally fell into my lap. Yes, I can honestly say.
Because you weren't going to accept something, the 9-to-5 drill down, because it is really bad.
The first job I had in coaching and speaking, it's kind of funny you said that. I actually rejected the job, but I ended up taking it. They called me back, wanted me to work for them. And because I didn't know what the job was and I had to reinvent myself, and the ad seemed really cool. And I went there and liked the guy, but they were all in like suits and everything. And so I declined the job. And he said, well, what would it take for you to work there? And I said, to not show up if I could just show up completely casually. And he actually let me do it. So that's how I got in the industry, just saying about if I could at least come to work as myself. Like, I just can't work in those things that other people wear. Just can't do it.
Exactly. And then there's the people who they could never work in what you wear. They have to have the suit and tie,
Sure.
Whatever. It's really interesting, I think, how we get so comfortable with our dress. And there was this girl at an event that I went to, and she was talking to one of the coaches there, and they said, what you're wearing right now is not you. You're trying to be so businesslike by wearing this black suit, and it's not you. You need to wear what's you. Yeah. And let people see the real you and not try to hide behind clothing. So there's the different types there. So a big kudos to you. Now,
thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about strategy, because strategy is so important. And I know that you worked with a lot of the multi-million-dollar leaders, but a lot of our listeners, they're just beginning, or they're trying to figure out even how do they start a business. So what do you tell somebody who wants to start a successful business? What are some of the strategies that they need at the get-go?
Wow. Well, obviously that's quite a question. Well, obviously it depends what business they're going in, of course.
Well, coaching, let's just say coaching, okay. Small business, something, yeah.
Start a coaching business and everything like that. I would probably, honestly, is work with some of the coaches for a little bit. In other words, try to get a job within the industry for a little bit before you started your own, just to learn from them a little bit, which is kind of what I did before I started this business a little bit, where I now work with 4 clients, 4 as the people you said in there. I had to really pick their brain and take notes and learn everything they did. And the one thing I would say, and this is probably the most basic thing, but being the age I'm at, having been working for 30 some odd years, is I'm still amazed to this day, especially with technology, how many people, whether it's email, it's text, it's phone call, don't reply or don't call back. And even if you're just trying to find your way, or as I did in the coaching industry about 7 years ago, is fake it till you make it, so to speak, for a little bit in the beginning. I mean, just answer every call or return every call return it. If an email ends in a question, just answer it. If somebody calls you, it doesn't matter who they are. I mean, call them back and follow through on every little detail. And as far as starting, I would say just in the coaching industry, the most thing I would say to anybody out there is to come up with something that is semi-unique. So many people, unfortunately, have these things where I'll give you just a basic example. Like either women or men will say, I just want to help women be better people. And that just doesn't sound too exciting. Or men who just want to work with men, helping them be better people.
I want to help women build their confidence. I mean, that's a big one that people say all the time.
We try to get them to pick a subject that's really unique to you and is also your passion, whatever it may be, and to go really deep on that one subject and have that one niche down and separate yourself from the pack a little bit. So try to do something and Google it and see what other people are doing out there as well, because there's so many coaches out there, and some of them are great and some of them are not great.
Exactly. I love both of what you said. Number one, always return the calls. I mean, that speaks about your value and your integrity. And I know that's like one of my husband's biggest pet peeves is whenever people don't return his call, or when they say, I'll call you on Monday, and they don't. And, little things like that can really, really increase your business. Even as a coach, I know sometimes I have people, they tell me one thing, so I'll do my work and I'll send them an email and then they never respond to me. And I'm like, well, I just utilized my valuable time whenever they don't respond to me. And that's how any recipient's going to feel if somebody doesn't return their email or their call or their text.
Yeah, it's so simple. And even with like what you said, if we're going to talk to somebody on Monday, I mean, my whole life is on the Google Calendar. I mean, it's everything from do an interview with Cindy to work on Gina's launch to get a haircut, which clearly I'm overdue. But no, but seriously, I mean, right from my giving my dogs their medicine, I mean, everything's in my Google Calendar. So I get up in the morning and go, okay, I'm doing this today, it's because I just put it all in there. So I never forget anything. Say the best you can, and this will sound almost cheesy, but be, kind of, we talk about, be so authentically you. Whether I'm talking to you or I'm talking to my bosses who are my clients, whether it's Gina or Rich German, Derek Rydell, Ted McGrath, I don't talk to them any differently than I would talk to my buddy, than I would talk to my next door neighbor, than I would talk to the plumber working on my house, or or the yard guy or whatever. I mean, I just treat them as just absolutely regular people. I'm still a nice person, and I'm so just true to myself. I don't put on any kind of image or any kind of, I don't fake it at all. And it just has worked very well for me personally. I think so many people, in my one job I had with Ted McGrath, my job was to do what you were talking about, joint venture partnerships. And it was to literally talk to the presidents of all the companies. And I just, hey man, how's it going? Cool. What are you into? Where are you from? Oh, wow. You love this band? So do I. And, a lot of them ended up just being my friends because we would talk personally for a while, just get to know somebody. And it's no different for me personally if I'm talking to the guy who is the janitor of the building or he's the president of the company. It's the same attitude, same respect, and just same kindness and lightheartedness, I guess, would be my approach.
And I love that. And I think, be true to who you are and be yourself, because that's the best way to grow any business. And if something feels off to you, don't do it. Because you need to follow your truth to be a success, because you don't, because otherwise you wind up like Scrooge, for lack of a better analogy. Right. Scrooge had all the money in the world, but he had no friends or nothing else. And even going back to be yourself, I always think, don't ever be afraid to ask a question. My son, he's a registered land surveyor in Arizona. And when he started, he was young. He was younger than 25. And he would be in these big meetings. And he used to always tell me, I was in these meetings with all these big wigs from all these big companies because, they're building a bridge or a school or whatever. And all these attorneys. And they would say something. And I'd go, I don't know that word. Will you tell me what it is? And everybody respected him because he didn't just sit there and act like he knew what they were talking about. And that's how he's learned. And he's really, really good with his and known in his industry. And a lot of that's because he was always him, and he was always honest, and he would always ask questions.
Oh, I like him already, and I don't know him, but I love that though, that he would just do that in the meeting. That's just wonderful. I mean, it's okay. I was going to even say something about like returning calls. I would even like, especially if it's like executive or something, I would return a call and say, just to leave a message back or a text or however we're communicating, even to call back and say, I'm sorry. I know I said I had an answer for you today. I still don't have it. I just wanted to let you know I'm working on it. Even those little things like build, so much clout, if you will, in business in general, not just this industry. So.
Right. And, my tagline is get seen, get known, get clients. And
Right.
I think what you're talking about is so important in the get known part. Everybody's like, how do I become an expert in my field? Where I can tell you all the strategies, but do you want to be known as this creepy expert that doesn't return calls, or the guy that returns the calls and answers your questions?
Sure. Just follow through with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a brand new industry to you, if somebody, just answer their questions. And
Mm-hmm. And whenever somebody's trying to develop a strategy, is there any sort of recipe they should follow whenever they're developing their own strategies?
Their own strategies for like in this industry you're talking about, right?
For the most part, yeah. Most of my listeners will be small business owners, coaches, service people, masseuses, maybe a Avon dealer,
Yeah. So I guess in developing a business strategy in this business, there's so many things I could say. But as far as like an overall strategy, I can give you one strategy, a personal strategy, not my personal strategy, but a strategy I've learned from the 4 clients I work with. And they all do one thing in common, I would say. One strategy, like they don't have, and I don't know about your program, Cindy, as far as what their costs are and all that, but they don't go after new clients right for the big sale right away at all. They don't try to get them to buy a $2,000 or $5,000 product. Often in this industry, what you really want to do is get them just to be intrigued about you and opt into your email and give them some really cool free content. It could be the top 10 biggest mistakes people make in the coaching industry, and they're really intrigued by that. And I'm just giving you that as a basic example. So you give them content first, and then once you've given them some content, then offer them something very inexpensive. It could be a $37, it could be a $97, maybe even $197 product. And the example I use is I go back to music here for a second. It's almost like when you hear a group, you maybe just want to hear that one song to see if you like them. You may not want to go out and buy the whole album, the t-shirt, and the front row tickets for $1,000 or whatever. You just want to hear the song, which then maybe makes you want to buy the album, which then maybe, so there's that nice progression in this business that is a model that seems to be working. So it's the free offer. It's a very low offer, like a $97 offer. And then a lot of times what they do after that, they go into a strategy session. After the $97, they offer them a free coaching session. And then they talk to them to see if there's a way they'd like to work together on an ongoing basis. And then once they've gotten to know you and go, oh man, I really like this Cindy. I really trust her. I loved that content she gave. Then they may want to spend $1,000, $2,000 with you. But it's almost like, I think too many people in this industry, like, hi, nice to meet you. And boom, let's talk about my $5,000 offer. It's like, no. It's
that is my pet peeves. And it's like, I know that it works with a lot of, the private messages, and there's so many people teaching private messages these days, but there's a right way and there's the wrong way. And so many people do the wrong way. I mean, I can't stand it whenever I friend somebody, I don't care what platform it's on, and then all of a sudden I start getting these emails. I was looking at yesterday, this private message from somebody on LinkedIn. In the past month, he has sent me 6 private messages, exactly the same, inviting me to his $2,000 program. Says, all I know about this man is this is what he has done. Because 6 weeks ago, he wanted to, he asked me if I would join his whatever on LinkedIn. I know exactly what it's called. Be in his community. Pardon me?
His profile or
his
LinkedIn.
Profile, yeah. So I know on Facebook it's friends, but I know LinkedIn calls it something else. So, but this is all I know from this guy. And this definitely doesn't make me know him or want to buy his stuff. It just makes me think like, ew.
It's almost like another example I use to clients when I talk. It's almost like trying to go all the way on the first date. You're hoping to get a hug at the end of the date. You don't want to, you're not trying to,
get a home run.
He's trying to get you to go all the way on the very front. Hey, nice to meet you. Let's,
Right.
So
I love that analogy.
it's just my goofy.
I've never heard that one. I've heard lots of similar ones, but I like that one.
Okay,
And
good.
Tim, I know that you have a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less. So can you share that with us?
Wow, 15 minutes or less. Yeah, there's a few things I would say. I mean, first of all, I would go back to the following through and all that stuff. And once again, we're talking about just the coaching business, right? Sure.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So for 15 minutes or less, and obviously this is something you'd want to do on a regular basis, what I would say to those people who really want to get going fast, like you said, in 15 minutes, you don't necessarily have to have a program to start. What you could do in a very short thing, I'm not quite sure if it's 15 minutes, but what you could do is come up, you have your coaching program in mind, and you could come up with either one-on-one or group coaching where you don't have to have the online program, where these people are simply buying you and time with you. And that's a great way for you or for the people listening out here to get going in this industry. If you have something that you think you're really good at, let's say it's joint venture partnerships, or it's something, completely off different from that. It's dog training. It's, whatever it may be, something very unique. Talk to them about just going into coaching one-on-one, because this day and age, your clients don't have to be in person. You can do just what we're doing here. We could be on Skype. We could be, wherever, instant teleseminars, Zoom, which I think was what we're on now, and Skype, et cetera. So there's all those things to do that where you don't have to have a program. And that's something you can implement if you know your material rather quickly and get clients with that. I think is a great way to roll for people, because so many people think they've got to put the whole kitchen sink. They've got to have an online program. They've got to have a mastermind, which is all well and good. I'm not knocking that at all. But if you do something quick and you want to just start getting clients that way, it is simply coaching either one-on-one or in a group. And I recommend groups, by the way, over one-on-one, because in a group, people can pay a lot less, but yet if you're teaching 10 people at once in that time frame, you're still, serving a lot more people and, making more money, and yet each client's paying less. So
Exactly.
I think I took 15 minutes to say that, but
yeah, and that's a great strategy. Thank you very much, Tim. And I know that you have a gift to share with our community. Can you share what that is?
Sure. What I'd like to offer, if anybody, and once I know you're going to give out my information as well, for anybody that contacts me, I will send you a link, and we can sit down for 30 minutes and just strictly talk about your business, how I could help you with anything from, say, live events to your online program, to your group coaching, to one-on-one coaching, to your modules of your program, to your messaging. I'll be happy to take a 30-minute call and just see if I can kind of point you in the right direction and maybe offer you some things that, look at things from a different direction, so to speak. And I'm happy to, and I will, as I said earlier in this interview, I will respond to every person, and I will show up to every meeting that people that are interested in doing that. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Tim. That's such a wonderful gift. And to our listeners, you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Tim, all lowercase TIM. And there'll be a link there where you can shoot an email over to Tim and claim your free session with him. And Tim, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Wow, parting words for listeners. Well, let me tell you, if you want to get into this industry and it's something you're really passionate about, because it's a very unique industry, I so recommend taking the chance and doing it. And I would say now, like 7-8 years in this industry, I would say the best thing about this industry, if this is your personality, you really work with a lot of nice, kind, not everybody, of course, but a lot of nice, kind, giving people. So if you want to surround yourself by good peeps who kind of want to give to others, take a chance on this industry, I say, if that is who you are, because you get to work with nice people, and there's a lot less, let's say, I'm trying to use the right word, just much nicer people and a lot less, whatever the opposite word. What's that?
Competition?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we all really work together in this industry. Right. It's a very friendly competition, which is very unique from, going back to music. That was all, let's get those guys from the other label. Let's go after them. Yeah. Let's be better than them,
Yeah, so. And it's not dog eat dog. Yeah, and a lot of
yes,
private industry it's very all
Yeah,
about
whatever.
what I have to offer. Whereas
That's
most coaching industries were like, hey, I can't help you, but my friend over here can.
sure. That's a perfect way to whatever the opposite of dog eat dog. That's this industry. It really is. It's a community. It's a real nice community. People are just really
Family oriented, but then sometimes families can be pretty dysfunctional, so that wouldn't be a good word either.
Cool.
And to our listeners, I think, well, first of all, thank you, Tim, for being my guest today. It's been a pleasure. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. And you want to hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Tim, and you'll be able to re-listen to Tim's words of wisdom. You can also catch up on past episodes You can also catch up on any past episodes that you might have missed from other top experts. And while you're there, be sure to click that link and claim your free strategy session with Tim. So with that, I hope you have a great week, and be sure to tune in next week with another amazing guest. Big hugs. Bye-byes.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.